Good afternoon. My name is Bahman Yazdanfar, and this is Turnaround. It used to be a weekly program, but during the summer, and since my colleague is away from the town for a while, so we do it time to time when we have interesting guests. Today, especially, I was called kind of the emergency for an issue that is very important, not only to me, but to many, many thousands or hundreds or even millions of Canadians and Ontarians. And that is the issue of the mental health and poverty, which goes hand to hand. And unfortunately, our government, regardless of the provincial, local, or federal, apparently they don't want to do anything about it. Or if they claim they do something, their money and the budget and resources goes in the hand of their cronies, in my opinion. And that is why the victims of these two circumstances left alone. And why I am here and this Monday holiday, civic holiday, because the gentleman who took it up in his own hand to walk across the southern Ontario to raise awareness about that issue is in town. So I am very privileged and honored to have him on the show. I haven't met him before today, and everything that you see here and hear and watch here is all for the first time and first hand. Thank you very much, Neil, for coming to this show.
Thank you for having me.
And for our audience, please introduce yourself with the full name and a little bit of your background. I don't want to ask you the whole story of your life, but highlights of your story in a few minutes for our audience, so our audience know who they are listening to and why should they listen to you.
All right, my name is Neil Hamill, and this is a very dear journey of mine because I was born with disabilities. I've struggled all my life with it. That developed into mental health or mental illnesses like depression because I couldn't get that structure. I couldn't, establish myself in society. And about 6 years ago, it went to suicide thoughts and attempts. And thank God for me, my daughter kept me alive. But at that time, I devoted my life to, I said, I wasn't going to try and get that structure anymore. There was no point. I'm not going to get it. I devoted my life to helping people. So I became a full-time activist and community volunteer at the time.
And just a little bit further back, first of all, not to focus on the age issue, but how old are you? Are you in 30s, 40s?
Yeah, sorry, I'm 40 now.
40 now. And when did you first realize that you have that mental challenges or disability challenges?
I was diagnosed at the age of 5 and 6 with a bunch of learning disabilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from then on, how did you go to a school?
I failed grade 3. I failed grade 2. And then from that point on, I was pretty well just placed because of my age. They didn't have much attention for my situation back then.
And how did you manage to, let's say from the age of 5 or 6 when you realized that, or from age of, let's say 10, that you realized that school is not what you built for. How did you manage to grow up or survive, so to speak?
Well, that's where you get a lot of the class clowns. And I was the class clown. That's how I just dealt with it. I didn't take things serious, and maybe if I would have done a little bit better. But from being told I had the problems, I accepted it as that, I guess, as a child, and I was just a class clown. And
that is at least the society around you perceive you as class.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that. I think because every one of us has his or her own individuality. After age of, let's say, 17, 18, did you start working?
Well, because of my situation, I dropped out of high school early, and I got into the criminal life.
What type of the crime are we talking about?
Break and enters. Pretty well just break and enters.
So it was just for the survival?
It was just hanging around with the wrong crowd. It was for alcohol and cigarettes and musical instruments, and it was never really survival. I lived with my parents up until that point.
Okay.
But because I was dropped out of school in grade 9, I ended up with the wrong crowd, right?
That's understandable. All of us, we have some challenges one way or another in our life, and I don't. At the age of 17, I don't want anyone has the right to pass a judgment on the situation. But after a while, when you get to because you said you have a daughter, are you married?
No, we were never married.
Okay, but how many children do you have?
I've got 2 children.
Children.
One's in my life, Haley.
Okay.
She's 13.
Okay.
She thinks she's 16, but she's
Okay.
13.
Well, always dating. they're rushing to grow
Yes,
up.
for sure.
Okay.
And then I have another son, Hunter, who is 4 now, and he's not in my life though.
Okay. Were you working anywhere between the age of, let's say, 20 to 40 that we are sitting here today?
Oh yes, for sure.
What type of the work have you done?
Yeah. Well, it was bricklaying apprentice and helper,
So it's skill work.
labor work.
Labor
work,
labor
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Now, you said 6 years ago you decided to put your life on hold, devote your life to start helping others after the suicide idea of that just passing and traveling in your thoughts. What was the epiphany? What was the moment of epiphany?
It was a Zeitgeist movie.
Okay.
The second Zeitgeist movie, actually.
Are you talking about the Zeitgeist
The
movie
Zeitgeist
for the
movement.
9/11 and the conspiracy?
Well, that was
and
the
all
first
of-
movie.
Well,
right?
I
There
know,
was
but
3.
then they had the
Yes.
second one, the
Yeah.
subsequent one. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm
that's-
talking about the same Zeitgeist.
Yes,
Okay. And
yes.
why did that affected you?
It affected me so deeply because the second one more or less had to do with, if you want to do something, do it, right? And for the longest time, after I wanted to commit suicide, I wanted to do something. I just didn't know what to do.
Okay.
And it was the first thing that kind of sparked my mind that said, you know what, that's helping society, that's helping the world. So I joined the Zeitgeist group pretty serious. I started me and my brother started the London Zeitgeist chapter.
Okay.
And with my brother's management skills, obviously, we put together the group, and we had it going for about a year and a half, 2 years, and we were pretty involved in it. We had a college club, and we set up at the parks and advocated it. And
what were you doing during that time? What kind of activities were you doing?
just promoting it and talking to people
About what?
about society, and we need to pay attention and start talking about the issues rather than ignoring them.
Okay.
And at the time, I was all into the Venus Project solution that Zeitgeist
What is
offered.
that?
It's a resource-based economy
Okay.
that this guy Jacques Fresco kind of has an idea of.
Oh, about the labor, like a barter labor system?
Kind of like,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh, yeah, okay.
yeah. So I was trying to promote a lot of that at the time. It was just the beginning, and I was confused at the time, but
Okay.
that's what I was doing then.
So during that 2 years, it must be very educational for you to learn the new stuff then.
Yeah, I was ODing on
So
documentaries.
you were not. Did you realize that you were not really have a learning disability?
I do now. Yes, very much
Okay.
so. Very
So-
much so. And it was in that process. Like I
Yeah.
say, I always say it was from the time I made that decision and started helping the world that to me, I think I'm highly intelligent now, and I get told that all the time.
Okay,
I get told
that
all
is
the
at
time.
least a good thing. Now, after 2 years you were with the Zeitgeist, what's happened from then on?
I dipped into other different movements like Food Not Bombs and Greenpeace, and I just tried doing all kinds of stuff, right? But then the Occupy movement started.
Okay, you are
And-
talking about 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was about 3 years ago. And I got heavily involved in that. I came down to Toronto here and
Okay.
started the one here in Toronto, and we organized a bunch of buses to bring a bunch of people from London down. And then from there, I was there for about a week and a half, and then we went back to London and started the London Occupy.
And what did you learn from that?
I learned that yelling at the faces of the people at top don't change anything.
Okay.
That's where I realized that the only way to change it is to start at the bottom, and that, coincidentally enough, had to do with the issues that I was dealing with, mental
Okay.
health and poverty.
Mental illness. And then after that, what did you do?
I joined the London Inter-Community Health Center in London. So I
Okay.
started volunteering my time there with the homeless and the poverty.
And what you do there?
Activity Council. So we
Okay.
put on activities for them. book clubs and bingos and card tournaments, and just keep them active.
Okay.
Right? You can come in and
To not go outside and do something crazy.
Exactly.
And you were doing this since till today?
until I did this walk. Yeah.
Okay, and what prompts you for this walk?
Again, I'm always doing something now, right? What happened with this one though is I had done a documentary, attempted to do a documentary last December. I called it Homeless in December.
Okay.
Where I was kind of stuck homeless, almost in a homeless situation. I was bouncing off couches and I didn't have a place.
Okay. And when was that?
This was December that just passed.
Oh, so it is recent.
Yes,
Okay.
really recent.
Okay.
So at the time when I was a little, bouncing around, I figured this would be a perfect opportunity to go homeless and document it and try and get it out there so people can see what's going on and what it's like to be homeless in the homeless community, which I'd worked with all the time. I knew all the people. I didn't really know a lot of the places that they go to and stuff, but I thought it would be a perfect opportunity. So I started jumping around to the different shelters and going to the different soup kitchens and stuff like that. Well, I'd already been going to some soup kitchens, but yeah, and I started documenting it along the way. And unfortunately, I got in a lot of trouble because they don't like cameras in there. So I got...
even though they are in the business of helping others, but they don't want to be shown they are helping others, or are they hiding something?
Well, in my opinion, I think they're harming more people than they're helping.
How so? What is your opinion?
Well, they're...
Without having the evidence, but what is your opinion?
Yeah, my opinion is that they don't have the proper staffing. Staffing don't care enough. There's definitely not enough staffing.
But they are volunteer, aren't they?
Yeah, no. At the shelters, they're employees.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, they're employees.
No, I thought you were talking about soup kitchens and all of that.
Soup kitchens aren't so bad.
Yeah, okay.
It's the shelters.
The shelters don't want to have a camera in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the soup kitchens were okay with it, especially the religious ones. They're the better ones. But the biggest problem with all of them is that it's disgusting. It's dirty. You feel like you got bugs. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be clean environments that these people are, okay, sure, they're dirty, but have them have a shower. Give them clean clothes. I mean, they should be on top of that stuff all the time. Your hygiene definitely affects your mental...
How many homeless people are... You're from London, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. How many homeless people are in London? Approximately.
At one given time, I'd say homeless, 50 maybe. It's
Because
not a
in
lot.
Toronto is about over 5,000.
Oh yeah, Toronto's massive compared to London for sure. But a lot of people that stay at the shelters aren't always homeless.
City of Toronto, let me ask you this, because you said there is something that they don't want you see when you attempt to do some sort of videography. In Toronto, City Hall claims to spend roughly about $200 million each year for 5,000 to manage 5,000 homeless people. I mean, and in my calculation, it costs 40,000 a year for
each one. So yeah.
If they give them 20,000 just for their shelter rent or something, and the bus pass, and they save $100 million. That is their figure. It's not my figure. I'm not working there. I don't know. What do you associate this business to? Is it are they in the business of money making out of homeless, or do they have the real intention to get rid of poverty, or at least homeless issue in Toronto?
Well, my opinion is it's the way they're going at it. You can't solve it, so it's all red tape and magic shows, right? I don't think they really work hard on trying to solve it.
Do you have any solution for them?
Universal geared income, maybe.
Income guarantee, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some argue in the government, mind you, that income guarantee promotes the interest for the drugs and the alcohol and booze and all of that. How do you respond to that?
There's places around the world that do it, and that's not there. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I just want you have
it's
to.
A
I
better
have my
society.
own opinion, but
there's less mental health
okay.
issues. It's way better for sure.
So now, what is your objective for this run?
Well, it started off. I was trying to raise.
When did you start it, by the way?
I started April 22nd.
Okay.
I did 2 months of.
It is almost April, May. It is almost a month.
It is a month yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I did 2 months of preparation walks too.
Okay.
In southern London area. So I've been at it for a while, but it started off. It was supposed to be a fundraiser for a homeless shelter up in Timmins.
Okay. Why Timmins? You are in London.
But I went to Timmins for the summer, and I ran into a friend of mine who had established what they called a warming station.
Okay.
So it was only open for the winter.
Okay.
But she wanted to keep it open all year round.
Okay.
And she had explained to me that it was a financial thing and everything else. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to think about it, how I can do a fundraiser for you.
Okay.
So then when I came down to London, I ended up doing the homeless thing when I came down, because I just told my daughter, okay, fine, because I tried moving back to Timmins for the summer. I came back in November, and that's what made me homeless, because I decided to stay in November. So I did the homeless thing, and then I ran into my buddy Trevor, who mentioned that he had raised money when he was 17, walking from Timmins to Toronto for school. So I thought, what a perfect idea. I'll walk from London to Timmins and raise money for the shelter.
In last 1 month that you were doing, have you managed to raise any money?
No, because it turns out it's not a fundraiser anymore. Now it's an awareness walk.
Okay.
Because what had happened, for some reason, I don't know the whole story, but Mel, she put the thing together, but she also put a
Who is
board
Mel?
together. She's a friend of mine up in Timmins that was to put together this warming station.
Okay.
It was a 24-hour
Okay.
place where people could come in the
Okay.
winter. She had brought it to her board, and I don't want to use last names and stuff.
No,
right?
no, you don't have to.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
but
sure
she
that
had brought it-
my mind is following your story.
Yeah, she had brought it to the board after we had already okayed it, and I went and did 2 interviews on a radio station in Timmins and in the newspaper. So by the time she went to the board, they were all offended that she never brought it to them first, and they fired her.
Who fired it?
The board.
The board. Okay.
Yeah, so
Well,
we're still that.
No
she's,
surprise there.
But anyway, so turns out they didn't want me doing anything. They called me an insurance nightmare and said they didn't want nothing to do with it.
Have you been insurance nightmare for other organizations?
No.
Okay. Have you ever had any claim against you?
No.
Do you have any problem with the police?
I have in the past, yes.
No. I mean, in the last 5-6 years that you are doing
No.
this act. Okay.
No.
So there is no reason for them to be concerned about.
I don't think so, no. And in
Okay.
fact, I even had another organization let me do the donations for them, but I ended up letting them go.
Okay.
Because of political
Now,
reasons.
let me ask you something. First of all, based on last 10-15 minutes that I'm talking to you, you are a no dummy to me. You are a very intelligent man. And the idea of being diagnosed with a learning disability is absurd to me. And by the way, my background before we come to Canada, I spent 7 years in medical school. So my opinion has some ground in that matter. And I congratulate you to get to the point in your life, to the point that you know that now. Now, since you are an intelligent man, I want to ask you, are you raising awareness for whom?
Well, there are 2 topics that people don't like to talk about.
People or government?
People, government, anybody.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to do is trying to bring an entertaining way to bring up the subjects. So, hey, check out this extreme journey thing, and it kind of helps people talk about their issues that otherwise they wouldn't talk about.
Okay.
And like I say, it's just letting other people know that we need to start talking about this stuff. It's very 1 out of 5 people are affected with mental health issues, and those are just the people that are diagnosed. How many people don't go to the doctors? This is a very, very, very serious issue that we don't talk about.
No, I
and then
realize
poverty.
I know the depth of the issue because
Yes,
I ran as a candidate number of elections, and when I was campaigning I confronted with number of people in even one apartment building. So I am aware of that. But what I'm asking you to know, if someone comes on the street, on the Bay Street, to go down and say, what are you raising awareness? What awareness? We know there is people poor. We know there are mental illness. What are you? What awareness are you doing? And what it has to do? What good it does?
Well, I mean,
I am being just playing devil advocate, by the way.
Yep.
They don't get me wrong.
well, again, it would be nice to be as big as Terry Fox one day, but to me, I've reached out to almost 60,000 people already. So that's 60,000 people that are apparently talking about something that they would not have been talking about you know, it's just to start
Yeah.
talking about it.
Even Terry Fox become a hero martyr after his death.
Yeah.
I mean, while he was doing that, very few people pay attention at that time.
Yeah.
Till he put his life.
Yeah.
I remember it was 91, 93. It was in the early 90s, I believe, at that time. I was here for a few years.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever approached the governments?
I used to yell at them a lot during Occupy.
No, yelling is you're shouting them out. But I'm saying, have you ever, because you were in the Zeitgeist movement, and you had an opportunity to see there are different methodology to achieve certain objective. It doesn't guarantee, but have you ever tried to, let's say, after 1 month of the walking, to go in front of City Hall, let's say in Toronto, and say demand to meet with the mayor or a councillor?
Yeah, I had the mayor of St. Catharines usher me off.
Okay.
I've met with the not the mayor, but her party or whatever in Brampton. The mayor of Guelph came to the place I was staying at. He personally came on his day off and came and see me. So I haven't
Did he
talked to him.
offer some sort of the help?
Well, he offered me to come back and do a speech on Mental Health Awareness Day in October in Guelph. So I'll be going back in October to do a little talk.
How about the St. Catharines?
He said he's going to do everything that he can to make sure this gets the recognition that it should. I don't know what he's been doing. I haven't heard from him since.
But nothing tangible.
Nothing. No. Just
So
a
you
handshake
have
and good luck.
handshake and good luck, and thank you very much.
Yeah.
And these are the elected officials.
Yeah.
Have you written any letter or demand or request to any part of any organization in the government?
No.
Don't you think you should do that as well?
I think I should, but I've got far too much on my plate already.
No, not necessarily you yourself, but I mean your associates, that they are supporting you to get your activity and put it on the letter.
For sure. And next year, I'm going to cover all those dots and cross all those T's, because I plan on doing this an annual thing. So next year I will be doing it again, and I'm going to keep doing it.
Are you politically involved with any political party?
No. No, I'm not.
You're not?
No.
So you haven't approached the political party by itself, like not the parties in the power, the parties that they are not in the power?
No.
Like NDP or Conservative? Or
I think if anything it'd be Green Party, but no, I'm not. No.
No, you haven't done that.
No.
And another thing I want to ask you, I remember the first time I was running about 8 years ago, I tried to locate the video. I made a video, 2-3 minutes video, and in that video I mentioned that all three mainstream parties federally in 1989 unanimously decided or agreed upon to eradication of the at that time they call it child poverty, but you can't be poor child unless your parents are poor. So but it has been like 27 years, 26 years, and they have more hungry children that go to bed than 27. If people like you across Canada doing this kind of thing, why, if it doesn't work? I'm not saying, I'm not discouraging you of not doing it, but
Why
wouldn't it be
my opinion, why doesn't it work?
Yeah, I mean, I want your opinion. This show is yours now. I don't want. Everybody has his own opinion.
My honest opinion is, I think because everything is kept at a certain balance, and they don't want to change that. It's kind of like why aren't feeding the hunger working all around the world? Well, it's because I know from being an activist that we are the Western world. We make up 30% of the world's population, and we use up 80 to 90% of the world's resources. So you can't spread it around, and they keep the Western world at that balance, and they deliberately starve the rest of the world. So
How about internally? Even West, Canada, United States, they have a lot of poverty in them.
Yeah. And if they took everybody out of poverty, then I think it would be a resource issue. There'd be, room issue. I think it has to do with balance. They need to keep so many people. Plus, it's a business, right?
And
So,
who is they you're referring to?
um, I don't know. I just
No,
know
because
whether it
everybody
be
talks about
governments, whether it
they.
be elite that run the world, whether it be whatever, the people right up at top that have been there for, you know, even people in Congress have been there for 80 years, for crying
Well,
out
yeah,
loud.
this
You know what I
is.
mean? They know that there's a certain thing and it's got to stay that way. They don't try and change. Governments don't try and change things. I think they try and
So
things the
then
same.
it comes back. I want to go to that circle of the awareness again, because if we know, and you and I both agree on that, by the way, if we know there is certain nefarious, certain elements with the nefarious mind is running this circle, either for individual or a small group benefit or profit, and this circle doesn't change or this system doesn't change, what is the use of all of this activity and awareness?
Well, it's for their benefit.
Whose benefit?
Theirs. I don't know who they are. I'm sorry. I don't know.
It is a little bit difficult
Yeah.
because no. But by the way, it's a difficult question to answer because it's not. I'm not putting you on a spot. It is difficult question to answer because all of this Occupy movement, all of this charity organization, third party, local communities, they try to bring issues to the table. They try to get the elected officials to pay attention and do something about it, and they fail.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just today or this year. It has been around for last 30, 40 years.
Yeah. No.
So it
And one
must.
thing that I learned from being in these movements is that they do exist. They are there. By giving names and pointing fingers, you just get thrown into conspiracy circles and everything else. But they do exist, and they're at the top, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years, if thousands of years, if not longer than that. And it's just the way the world's run. I mean, they've never had as much control as they do now. To me, they have more control now than ever before. But again, I don't like to point fingers and labels because
well, we don't know where to point our fingers anyhow.
But they exist. And
Oh,
there's
I
no doubt in
am
my,
of course.
no doubt in my
no,
mind
no,
that
no,
they control it. And
as I said,
yeah.
I totally agree with you in that aspect that there are a entourage or a group of a small group of the even unelected individuals who do this kind of to make that kind of decision. Now, let me ask you politically, how are you politically involved? Do you vote? Do you participate in the election? Do you help a candidate? Do you think if there is any venue there that you can?
No, I don't vote. I've helped a good friend of mine in London who ran for the Green Party, and it's just because he was a Zeitgeister friend of mine that got into politics and ran for Green Party. I help them hang up signs and stuff like that. But no, I'm not too into politics because, like I say, I think the majority of them, are just puppets anyway, and they have to follow certain things, and they make a lot of promises and break them all. And I just don't like politics. To me, it's all nonsense.
Don't you think? Why don't you run?
Because I'm not educated enough. Because
Why you think people are educated or elected or
educated
doing
in
very good?
politics, right? I mean, I would have to sit down for usually people when they run for politics, they've had it. It's been their life for years, so they know which ways to do things and which way.
We call them career politicians. No, we are not talking about that. I mean, a person like you. I think. Don't you think one of the deficiency of our society that these things stick around for this kind of conditions like poverty, like mental issues stick around for that long because people refrain from getting involved in the actual politics of that.
Yeah, and I'd wind up someone would kill me. So
Why?
Because I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't back down. I wouldn't be a puppet. I just
Well, you don't have to pop it, but you can by running at least you can get in their face in the different method of not yelling and shouting, and the different method of the just debating, so to speak.
Yeah, I know, but again, it doesn't cross my mind. It's never been a thought. I'd rather be at the Intercommunity Health Center, face to face with these people, trying to make them smile. trying to brighten their day. That's where.
So you're more a humanitarian rather than the politician.
Yes,
You're
definitely.
more humanitarian than an activist, even.
Definitely.
Okay, so you want to put it in the level ground with the people. That is admirable. That is admirable. I don't. I mean, I can't be like that because I always like to see a objective and results personally in my personal life. But I admire people who are like that.
Well, one thing I learned from the Occupy movement: every major city on the planet took part in Occupy, and for that to go nowhere just proves to me that politics and everything. I think everything is pointless at this point. I think.
Let me ask you
think
now.
they're gonna
Now
have their way.
it's a good point that you brought that up. That it doesn't go anywhere. Let me ask you. While you were involved in those activities, like Occupy Toronto, Occupy London, or whatever, have you noticed that these groups are being supported by unknown individuals or unknown groups or anything like that?
I heard stories about it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know our London Occupy. I didn't have anything to do with the finances, so I never asked questions about it. But you're talking about like secret or
The people who run it usually rule of thumbs is, especially in North America, which is very individualistic kind of the environment, as you probably experienced in last one month, at least in last 1 month. Gathering all these people and organizing to do any form of activity, doesn't matter if it is Occupy Toronto or it is any other form of activity, needs a certain level of the organization and the budgeting and the financing. So someone has to feed them. That is the logic I am talking about. I am not accusing anyone of getting.
And the way the
money.
Occupy movement worked is no one set person ever did anything. We broke it into groups, but that was part of the problem with Occupy is there was too many hands in that bowl.
And that is why I said all of those many hands, each one of them has his own agenda or its own agenda.
Yeah.
So when you gather together all of that in one bunch, you are not really presenting one single or two issues. You are presenting whole buffet of the issues, and the message can get lost.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anything like that? That it's designed by this way on purpose?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I want to have your input.
It's called participatory democracy is
Yeah,
the way that, is
okay.
what they did, and I think it was orchestrated right at the beginning to put it, and how it was spread around all over the movements. I think it was done deliberately because even if afterwards I did a little bit of history, and participatory democracy has never worked. It's confused things all the time. It's something that's proven to be unsuccessful. Why the Occupy movement took that on, I don't know. But it was definitely one of the main reasons why it had so much problems doing anything.
What is your plan now from now on? What is can you just walk me through your plan from the 22nd of the April you started? Where did you started? Where were you been? And where are you planning to go?
Okay, so I started on the 22nd in St. Catharines. Then I walked to Niagara Falls.
You're just walking.
Just walking. Yeah,
Alone.
I got a cart too that I push with all my stuff. It's one of those bike strollers that you can put on the back of a bike. So I've got that I push with all my luggage and equipment in. So I went from St. Catharines to Niagara Falls, then through Thorold and Welland down to Port Colborne, then to Binbrook, Dunnville, then Binbrook, then Hamilton, then I crossed over to Kitchener-Waterloo, came up to Guelph, then through Brampton, Toronto now. And
Okay, can you walk with your way one day while, let's say, when you start walking, what time of the day you start walking?
it all depends. I'm always up at 6 o'clock.
Well,
I
just
can't
give
help
me
it.
one day. Well, I'm not asking you to give
Usually
me
I'm gone. Usually I'm gone by
itinerary of
9
every
o'clock.
day.
Usually I'm gone by 9 o'clock. and
Okay.
walking.
So
Yeah.
when you start walking, how long do you continuously walking?
I can walk for about 8-9 hours a day. I can do 35 plus kilometers a day. The problem so far though is I've got cities and I try and stop at every city and promote my walk.
Okay.
So that's usually, you know what I mean. I've had very little full days of walking because there's so many
So
cities.
so what would happen between if you don't have any city between, let's say, after 35 kilometers, when you start from point A, which is a city, to the point B, which is another city, and let's say it is 70 kilometers, and you walk 35 and you are in middle of nowhere, what you do?
Camp it. Oh yeah, put up my tent and go to sleep. Wake up in the
Do you
morning.
have any entourage with you? Anyone with you?
No. I wish I had a dog.
So you are completely alone.
Completely alone. Yep. I mean, I'm not really alone because I've got everybody that's following me on my Facebook page that I'm constantly on social
while
media with.
you are walking.
Yes. I'm
No.
alone, but I
Because
I-
when you talk about Terry Fox had a lot of people, at least a few, his brother and all of that.
Yeah, no,
they
I'm
were
alone.
with him.
I'm
You
alone.
are completely alone.
Yeah. I post
Okay.
every hour.
Okay.
I post where I am, what I'm doing, make a comment, and try and answer I'm constantly on the social media, so people know that I'm not cheating, right?
Okay.
So every hour when I'm walking, usually I'm posting. I'll put a sign or some kind of landscape.
Why?
in
You
it.
always have Wi-Fi somewhere?
So far, so good.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Okay. And
I might have problems North Bay on.
and how about climate?
It's been good since my walk. But I was doing pre-walks for 2 months before I started.
Yeah.
And I slept in -7, -4. I walked in a blizzard one time. I put myself through a lot of abuse to prepare for this.
Okay, health-wise, how are you?
I'm healthy as a horse. I'm good like
Knock
that.
on wood.
Yes.
But again, when the climate changes, the possibility of people get flu or cold. And, flu.
I've always been a very healthy person. I'm even getting tattoos of all the major cities along the way. And they're quite surprised that nothing's infected.
How you
and
pay for tattoos? If
these
you
are all donated.
Oh, okay.
So my girlfriend's been kind of like getting a hold of tattoo shops before I get there, and tells them my story, and I promote the tattoo shop, right? So they get to put their tattoo shop on my arm, then the city and the number of the city, right? So that this is my own life
all of this happened in last 1 month.
in like 3 weeks, and that's why they're all surprised. They're like, "Are you seriously? It's healed already?" Because like, yeah, this is my most recent one, my Toronto one. And every major city I've.
Who in Toronto did your tattoo?
Toronto was adrenaline.
I'm sorry.
Adrenaline piercing, body
Where is that?
I should know this. I'm sorry, I don't. I think it's on Dundas Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Too many streets. I can't remember.
So you go from one city to city, and you camp on along the way.
Yep.
And what you do for food?
A lot of beans, a lot of tuna.
No, I know, but do you buy it and carry with you, or do you go and
I carry
you have
enough.
some people.
I carry enough to keep me to the next city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when
And
you
a little extra.
when you get to the city, is there any restaurant or anything that any establishment that who are willing to accommodate you with that?
As much as my PRing can handle. I mean, I'm very bad with the PRing. Obviously, usually people have someone PR.
But you said you have a girlfriend who is.
She's helping me out a little bit.
Well, if she can do that with the tattoo parlor, she must be able to do that with the restaurants.
Well, no, because I'm okay with food.
Oh, okay.
Right? I haven't yet had any problems with food because it's not hard to go pick up a can of tuna and open it up. My main thing is wraps. Tuna, canned beans, or canned stew. Right? And that's what I've pretty well been living off of. I'm okay with that.
So you're like a soldier right now then?
Yeah.
Practically, more or less. You have a can and a backpack and camping, and you're running it.
Yeah.
Now, along the way, can you just share with us a little bit of your encounters? What type of the encounters do you get? Do you get always good? Do you get bad along the way? Do you get a little bit of the hostile? How can you just share with us some of your either way of their experiences with people?
It all depends. Like some cities, I get a lot of bad looks, a lot of dirty looks. And then there's other cities like Guelph where everyone just smiles and shakes my hand, and every second person.
Give me some of those bad looks. I just say because the show is about turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
That means we have to change what we have and turn it around.
Yeah.
And the only way we turn it around, you raising the awareness about the mental illness and poverty, probably people have to raise the awareness about their behavior toward the issues first.
Yeah,
So
because it's sad, because
yeah.
it's a disgust look that I get, right?
Well, can you give me an example where or where, how?
Just walking down the street and
Oh, because of your the
yeah, I'm carrying the
appearance
cart. I got my bag,
and
you know.
the tattoos and all of that.
Yeah, right. So they look at me like with disgust, and I don't have time to talk to everybody. But those people that look at me with disgust, I'd like to just pull out my flyer and explain to them, and then see if they look at me with disgust, right? If you
Do they
really
tell
knew what
you
I was
anything?
doing.
Do they confront you?
I haven't gotten any bad. No,
So you
just
know,
looks.
So that is a good good
Yes.
sign.
Yes.
It looks is looks. That's like, you can't really stop people from what they are.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you haven't had any confrontation
No.
with anyone who's come to you and say, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?"
Oh yeah,
going
all the
on?"
time. Oh yeah, people are always coming up to me and talking to me, and it's usually positive. It's usually
Oh, it's
right
positive. It's not confrontation.
Yeah,
It's,
no.
okay.
When people are coming to talk to me, it's positive. I've never
Okay.
had a bad situation where it went bad. Because, like I say, I carry.
Do you
not on-
collect their names?
I wish. I wish I could collect their stories. I wish I had a camera on me all the time. You know what I mean?
No,
But
I mean, if you have something that you get in line
No,
for,
I-
you can just get their names
I
or something.
don't. No, no.
Is a good source of the
I get
database
their
for
picture.
you.
I get their picture.
Well, finding a picture
and
is
it goes up. It goes up on the
address is a
Facebook
little
page.
bit difficult. You need their telephone number for their next movement. So maybe
Good point, and
may-
I wish
maybe
I
a
would have
pr-
thought of that at
maybe
first.
a practice that you should have started doing
Yes.
from
And next
now.
year I will.
Yeah.
I do. I'm going to plan.
When
to do
are
this
you
anyway.
plan to finish it?
I'm aiming for June 22nd. My daughter has her
And
graduation.
what is the plan from Toronto? Where are you going? And
Straight up Yonge Street to Richmond Hill. From there, I'll probably camp out somewhere. and
Richmond
then-
Hill, probably you get a lot of those looks.
Yeah, yes, for sure. But I have
We
to
have
go
a lot
through
of
it.
snobbish people there.
Yeah, but from there, major cities anyway. I can't go into detail with all the small ones, all the small towns. But it's Barrie, North Bay, and then Timmins.
So Timmins is the final destination.
Timmins is the final destination. Yeah.
So because you started with Timmins, you are going to end it to
Well, I was
Timmins?
raised in Timmins, but I've been living in London for 10 years.
No, I know, but you started because of the
Yeah.
shelter. You talk about
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Mal and all
Yeah,
of that.
and during that
Yeah.
time, I got a really good. In fact, still my biggest. I hate saying fans, but fan base is in Timmins. That's where the majority of my people following
If
me.
I ask you, to look at your list of your contacts, how many friends would you say that you have their name and telephone number on it? Or how many, not necessarily friends, but the people who you have their telephone number and name on it?
that are involved in this?
In the last 6 years even.
Oh, okay. 15.
So in 6 years, you just managed to get 15 people to really talk to you?
I don't talk to many people. I don't
No,
talk
no,
to.
no. I understand that. I'm just being facetious about that because you meeting all of these people, you should have a good directory of contact information in the last 6 years.
No, I don't. I'm
You
not good
don't.
at
You
that.
don't have that.
I'm not good at that. No.
And it's true. You see that is the problem. People come to you, talk to you, engage with you, and they tell you that they admire what you do, but they do not give the contact information to you just for the future alert or future notification or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for teaching me something.
No,
today.
no, no, no. Just I'm
Because,
saying. Why, no,
should be making a list of
no,
these people.
it was not advice. What I'm saying is, it is shortcoming of those people.
Mm-hmm.
They should have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably shied. You focusing on your own journey. They should have done that.
Definitely guilty of that.
Yeah.
Even my girlfriend says, "That's all you talk about."
Wow. Yeah. You said you have a girlfriend in London, I
In London,
assume.
yes.
Yeah, okay. So after Timmins, what is the plan? Going back to London again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the plan then? Are you planning to just go back to work or get involved to another movement or anything like that?
I've told my girlfriend I'm gonna try and get a job and and let us. We live in poverty. We both have worse really bad places. So we'd like to get at least on our feet in the next little while. So my focus is when I'm done this, just take a break from it all and establish a nice little nest with me and my girlfriend.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. And you said your little girl living with you lives with
She
you.
doesn't live with me. She lives with her mom, but she's
But
in my life.
she's in your life.
Yes.
But the other boy, your son, is not.
No.
Do you want to elaborate on that, or you prefer not to talk about it?
I'd prefer not to talk about
Okay,
it.
that's okay. Then the only other question that comes to my mind at this junction is, how long have you been in Toronto, and what did you accomplish in Toronto? Because we are in Toronto.
I've been in Toronto since Friday.
Okay.
And I have to be honest. I didn't accomplish nearly as much as I thought I would. It's really starting to affect my mental health issues right now. I'm way overwhelmed, and I just find I was totally exhausted. I even had a day at the park yesterday at Trinity Park. They gave me the mic and everything, and I had a really hard time with it. And normally I don't have a hard time talking about this stuff. Today I did all right. I'm glad. But yesterday, was my big moment, and I failed. I didn't talk to nearly enough people and get my name out there.
Why do you contribute that to? Is it exhaustion?
Exhaustion, definitely exhaustion. I haven't really stopped since I left.
By the way, you are not taking any medication, all right?
No, that's one thing I've always refused to take
Okay.
medication.
Okay, that is a smart move. A smart move, because when you get the medication, then you don't know under mercy of who you will be. Today you feel I seem you very nice to me. I mean, you're nice, intelligent, very well spoken person to me. At least, it is what I see.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened between yesterday and today? Good
Um,
rest.
a little bit of rest.
Or
I
maybe
ate.
a couple of sandwiches.
I ate better. I had this energy drink that might have something to do with it.
Well, that is full of sugar.
I don't really like
Su-
energy
su-
drinks, but I
sugar
decided
and
to take one.
nicotine,
Yeah.
nicotine or nicotine or whatever it is in that.
Yeah.
So I thank you for coming here. Do you want to? I'd like to give the microphone to you for next few minutes, and I like you use this platform. And there is a camera. Which camera is this camera? And talk to your audience, the people that you want to understand you, like the speeches that you have in the park, or not necessarily yesterday because you didn't have good experience, but the other speeches you have had. Now you are in a good mood. I want to get that platform for 5 to 10 minutes or shorter, doesn't matter, it's up to you. And talk, assume that you are in front of a group of people, and this message that you are trying to resonate to people has to be delivered.
Well, now I'm
Not
like
to me.
now I'm like a deer in headlights because I don't do very well with.
No, nobody is here. It's just you and I sitting here. You assume that I am a dummy, which I am a dummy. You're sitting here and you want to explain what you want, the extract of our conversation in a 1, 2, 3 minutes, that what you want people to do for you. And be yourself. Don't worry about your emotions. Let it flow. Just tell people what you experience and what you hoping to achieve.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that would be reach out to somebody you know. We all know somebody, according to statistics, we all know somebody that's dealing with poverty or mental health issues.
Yes, here.
So reach out to them, and whether it be a conversation on the phone, talk to them, tell them they're awesome, or whether it be $10-20 if they're living in poverty, just reach out to that person and help that person, and keep spreading the awareness. If you're having a hard time just talking about that, bring up my journey. Say, hey, this guy's doing this thing, you should check it out. And maybe that's a good way to bring up the topic, because that's the whole point of the journey, is to give a reason to talk about these things, because we all know that they're hard to talk about, but we have to get over that. We need to start talking about it before we can change it. So that's what I try.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing. And I hope those, again, we don't have a high number of the audiences, but the copy of the video will stay on YouTube and online for the future reference. and you can refer people to that. That is why I was focusing on the contact and all of that, because that would be a way for you to communicate to all of those people who first-hand experience meeting you. So they see what are you all about. If they didn't have time for 1 or 2 minutes to understand you, now they have better understanding of you.
Yeah, and we're still on right now? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
of course.
Showed the banner. So just, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can find me on extremejourney22.com. And on there, yeah, you can get links to everything else. So that's the big one, the extremejourney22.com.
Thank you very much. Are we close to the end of the time, I believe? I'm going to, first of all, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. Very few people have the courage to sit in front of camera and share their personal thoughts or inner feelings. Although I can come across very serious and insensitive, however, it doesn't mean that I do not understand what people go through, and I hope that not only your movement or your activities, but any form of the similar activities can bring some sort of the result. I mean, awareness is one thing, understanding and knowing is one thing, but doing something about it is it's something different. And unfortunately, as you alluded earlier, is not in the hand of individuals to the extent of the mass solution. But individuals can collectively help and chip in. Again, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was, before I close the show today, I want to address some of our officials, federally, provincially, municipally. You people were elected by people at the time of the election, begging them to give you their votes. As soon as you get elected, you go to your cozy environment and chambers, start to take orders from your party leaders or bosses who are mainly unelected individuals. This is Neil Hammer is just one example of many millions of people across Canada. Many of them, they don't want to come out and tell other people what they go through. I am not asking you to open your hearts, because if you had hearts, you have done something by now. I want to open your mind and logic. This kind of the thing, if it improves or if it develops to the point that it's out of the hand, believe it or not, you are the only first one who lose your job. And you have to face the consequences on the streets, on the cities, on the households, on the environment, and on your government. And I am not sure, maybe some of you in the government have mental issues, but you refuse to admit it. And that is why you don't take actions as is needed. I hope this kind of the programs, this kind of the message get into you and at least start to talk about it, instead of saturating the media about how the JT elbowed the girl from NDP. Focus on the real issues. Focus on the hunger. Focus on the poverty of the people. Neil Hammer is not a Syrian refugee that just arrived yesterday. He was born in this country. He was raised in this country. He speaks fluently English. He is intelligent, and yet he has no access to the rights as a citizen in this land. That is shame on you. Shame on you, federal government. Shame on you, provincial government. Shame on you, member of the city hall or any form of the municipal government. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. See you next time.